I'm making a statement right now that even if someone made me an offer you can't refuse, like substantial amounts of money for some sort of like project, some career progression, something like, and it's out of this world, and it involves me entering the United States of America within the next 4 years, I have no interest in going there. You wouldn't get, no amount of money would get me traveling to America right now. It's annoying because, you never know what opportunities could come. But no, America is going downhill fast. I've been talking quite openly and expressing my opinions over the past few months. I've seen things before maybe they happen. And it's just been absolutely mental. It really has. The things Trump's doing, it's just inhumane. I've always had this issue where people are treated like they're insignificant just based on where they were born. It's just but it's not even logical. And there's so many people that are up their own arse because I keep saying it. Some people that are born into privilege or have privilege, they lack empathy. They can't even relate to other people and treat them like humans. I find it absolutely surreal. So they've got privilege, so because they don't have to care, they choose not to. And it's like, that's for me is absolutely mental. I know a lot of people are probably seeing it right now. There's like a prison they've built, almost like a temporary prison in Florida, and it's surrounded by alligators and all sorts of shit. And some people are absolutely like excited by it. There's one guy just got excited. I saw it. I didn't like it at all. I didn't even bother engaging, but I really could do with having it as a point of reference at the moment. Let me see if I can find it because it's just sick. And it's how people get excited over cruel things. It's just, it makes the mind boggle, You just think, like, who the hell are you? Because clearly you're not really human. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, to be totally honest. Yeah, here, this one. I'll favourite it so I can find it as a source of reference. There was another video I wanted to share, but I don't think I don't have time to find that one, unfortunately, where this woman was sort of like, because she's not struggling at the moment, she didn't really care that others are. So it's easy to judge people when you're on your high horse sort of thing, and you're thinking, yeah, I've got it. Beautiful, perfect timing. Let's show a couple of these examples, shall we? Because America is going down the sewer pretty fast. It's become an authoritarian state. It's making North Korea look like paradise. That's what America. How fast has America changed under Trump? Like, I knew it was going to be chaotic, but this guy's unhinged. And like, you look at his age; he's got nothing to lose. There's something really sinister about this. Like the people pulling the strings behind the scenes. I think they're using Trump to implement things that will have long-standing implications on America, because he has nothing to lose. So you might as well like give him what he wants over the next 4 years while he's around, and then when he's too old and shit, I don't know, man. Like America's really going downhill. Like I find it quite funny when like even the press secretary and things, they always keep coming out about how great America is, how everybody wants to do business with America, how everyone wants to go to America. I wouldn't be surprised if tourism's down like crazy, and you're going to start seeing other countries doing trade of themselves, and eventually, America is going to be a pariah. It's been going that way fast. It's the way anything works in the world. When something's at the top, people naturally attract towards it. When something is diminishing and their values no longer relate to the majority of those around the world, you can no longer trust them. When you can no longer trust them, you can't really do business with them. And what we're seeing with Trump is he keeps reneging on deals and going back and forward, and he's narcissistic as shit. And you can't operate with someone like that, So the idea that people are enamored with America, or it's like this and that, it's like we're really not. And I think the world leaders are going to start taking note, because the corruption is absolutely mental right now. And it's just the way people are getting treated. Like, no one's safe. They're even talking about deporting American citizens who Trump considers a problem. So that means people who don't toe the line, who maybe say some horrible things, just a word, just horrible things that he doesn't like. You could have your citizenship taken away and deported, which makes no sense. Like, how can you go to another country without a nationality? Like, I don't understand. Like, you take away someone's nationality, then what are they? Martian? It's crazy, isn't it? Literally, they are. It's unreal. and how like happy he is with his progress. And it's like, you're sick and twisted. We're seeing it now, like with the healthcare problem in America right now. That they're taking away a lot of support for those most in need, the vulnerable. And I saw reports that an awful lot of funding's now gone towards this ICE situation to deport people. And then someone compared it to the military spending, America's military spending, and apparently they're trying to get it through. I don't know if it's Congress or the Senate or whatever they're doing. But apparently, the budget would be higher than the US military. It's like, wow, they're that obsessed with removing people from America. They ain't got no one left. You know. Now there are other sinister reports about things happening to people going missing, like huge amounts of people. But I think that you got to be careful with things like that, because it's easy for one thing to stem into another, and all of a sudden it's like rumor. And it's like, if it's not substantiated, you've got to be very careful. You don't just go running with it. And I'm trying to be a bit more open-minded, but I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. It's not safe for anyone entering America right now or spending time there, let alone foreign nationals, no matter what country you're from. And that's really strange, because, I remember a lot of things, and I'm sure a lot of people do. When Trump, when he first became president, like in this second term, it wasn't long into it, he started talking about people being able to buy green cards. And he called it a gold card. I think it was, if you invest $1 million into America, you can earn yourself a gold card. And it's like, but you're taking away citizenships of people. You're taking their nationalities away. So how protected is that person who gets the gold card? And at any rate, why should someone who has wealth be afforded, like permittance to live and reside and work, operate in America, and yet you consider other people illegal, even though they're working as well? Again, it's all money, it's all where the money follows the train, it's all corrupt shit. It's unreal how America's going. It's going downhill fast, man. See, like, you wouldn't get me willingly going towards America right now. I'd much rather just stay in Europe. Europe's beautiful anyway. It's underrated like crazy. Yeah, the democracies are far better. It's got natural beauty. The culture's great. It's just, don't sleep on Europe. Don't sleep on Europe. That'd be crazy. Like I said, we use some examples, but like I said, I have no interest, foreseeable future, of even entering America. That's the impression I have of it. That bad for no reason at all. I would not travel, no matter what it is. Could be a huge awards ceremony. It could be a massive contract. Not interested. Won't do it. Let's start randomly, because I'm not sure where to start. Let's go here, because it's only loaded so many pages, unfortunately. So we do it from here. Right, we've not got a sound going on. Why the hell is my sound not working? Is it to do with my phone having something else going on? Wait a minute. No, it shouldn't. Come on, mate. I think I had it on mute. Right, let's start again.
We have some big news right now. Every major health system in Louisiana is sending an urgent warning to Speaker Mike Johnson and the rest of the state's congressional delegation that the Senate GOP's Medicaid cuts would be, quote, historic in their devastation. The major hospital systems recently wrote a letter to the congressional delegation warning them that if the Senate Republican bill passes, it would potentially force hospitals in rural areas to close down. It would create historic devastation in the state of Louisiana. It would slash more than $4 billion in Medicaid funding just for Louisiana's healthcare providers, and will, quote, negatively impact our ability to deliver care and have devastating consequences for our state budgets. The economic consequences pale in comparison to the harm that will be caused to residents across.
Crazy.
Why are you voting to cut Medicaid?
These people are cruel. They're cruel as shit. So you look at the face on them, they just don't care, because they're literally different. What it is, once people get high enough ranked, like become officials or whatever they become, they detach from society. So that means they detach from reality. So now they're living a completely different existence to the average person, where everything is like political. It's just, everything's gamesmanship, quid pro quo and all this nonsense, because all they care about now is power, prominence, opportunity, and money. And people are in the way of those things. So they just don't care anymore. You're just collateral damage to their freaking ambition. That's all it is. And it's sick as shit. It really is. They're delusional. It's like they just lost sense of reality now. So have a look at this person.
Why are you voting on Medicaid cuts? Can you tell us why? Medicaid saves lives. This baby is on Medicaid. This baby's life is saved because of Medicaid, and you are voting to reduce Medicaid. Look, you can run away from us now, but you can't run away from a bad vote. The people will remember. Why are you voting to cut Medicaid?
They're sick in there, didn't they? Absolute sick in there.
The United States should not be allowed.
I'm not going to go on about these ones.
Is there even one oval in Formula One?
I mean, this doesn't help Americans in general. It's a bit irrelevant, but I find it quite interesting. This is irrelevant to the topic, but it's just, oh my God. So, like some Americans with racing, they're used to NASCAR, so you just go around the oval. And he couldn't understand, like, even in America, there's like Laguna Seca now. It's an incredible, iconic track. That's, you know, like some people, some of them don't even understand. They think it's just shapes. He's like, is it a triangle then? Is it a square? Like, what is it? It's like, oh my God. Problem is that it is an indictment of the American education system to an extent. It's not all Americans, but they do. America, outside of America, there is a running joke of how dumb Americans are in general, like their education, because everything focuses America-centric. It doesn't. A lot of them don't have an understanding of other cultures. So that's where this detachment from the rest of the world comes, you know, and then this idea of this grandeur that America is this great nation, and it's like America's always been corrupt, though. It's you know, you think it's a democracy, and it really isn't. But again, people open their eyes more, and it's a good thing. Right, what else we got?
It is the biggest tax cuts for billionaires in American history, paid for by throwing 13.7 million Americans off their health care coverage. Now, those aren't my claims. That is not subjective. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office just this week confirmed that at least 13,700,000 Americans will lose their health care if the GOP bill for billionaires becomes law.
Well, there's more bad news for the Orange God King that he doesn't want you to know about it, so I'm going to talk about it. You know the trade deficit that was such a big deal to Donald Trump, which one of those things he clearly doesn't understand, trade deficit, like he'd say we're getting ripped off by other countries when we have a trade deficit with us. Canada's ripping us off because we buy more from Canada than they buy from us, even though they have like 1/10 of our population. It's just so freaking stupid.
I think everyone saw this at the beginning when Trump was doing all this shit, because it's like you can't force citizens to buy products from your country just because you're demanding it's fair. Like, you should be spending the same amount of money with us as we spend with you. That's fair. It's like, well, your products have to be decent. You can't just expect people to buy shit or overpriced stuff, you know? Be realistic. And he's just mental. He really does it. I think he's brainless. I really think he's thick as shit. And it's unreal that someone this delusional and this stupid has so much power. It's mad. It's absolutely maddening. I can't say one good thing about Donald Trump, and I never have been.
Stupid. It's an exchange, right? Money for goods. No one's getting ripped off in an exchange like that. Anyway, the guy's such a freaking idiot. That was one of the reasons why he had to do these massive tariffs. Getting a text. Okay. That's why we had to do one of the reasons we had to do these massive tariffs, because we had this trade imbalance and we were getting ripped off, right? Well, guess what? The U.S. trade deficit, our trade imbalance with other countries, actually has gotten worse since Donald Trump's tariffs. Yeah, as is usually the case with whatever this fucking idiot does. The exact opposite of what he says he's going to accomplish is what actually happens. Let me read a little of this. In May, the U.S. trade gap widened 11.1% to $96.6 billion, according to the Commerce Department. Exports of goods dropped $9.7 billion, while imports were little changed. So you see that? Who got screwed? American producers who export goods got screwed. Those are the people Donald Trump said he was going to help, right? He was going to put these tariffs on so that America.
He says he's going to help a lot of people, and he's just screwed everybody over. So anybody that voted for him is all of a sudden they're getting Medicaid getting taken away. They're just, you know, there's a crisis with the jobs. There's a cost of living crisis. So all of a sudden, the things that he was supposed to help people with, and they voted for him for change because they thought he was going to help them. He's literally taken everything from them, even family members and stuff. You know, deporting people left, right, and centre, detaining people, and even going not even that. He's going further by just keep adding to the budget for it. So he's really trying to throw everything at this. Like he just wants. That's what he wants. It's maddening. It really is. And then you see the argument he was having with the Californian governor, because he just wants to exert his power and dominance. It's quite surreal, isn't it? You're like, this is unreal. This is not a country collaborating together. It's one divided and fighting against itself. And then, like, hasn't been long ago when you had all the protests, and they're all going to come out again. There's no way people are going to just part with this. But yeah, I thought maybe the next president can come in and do executive orders to overthrow all the shit that he's implemented. But apparently some of these things, especially this Medicaid thing, apparently it requires a certain percentage or certain amount of senators or something to overturn. So the consensus is that he's implementing these changes and they come into effect during the next term. So they're expecting the Democrats to win because they've been so freaking mental already. And then they can blame the Democrats when it comes in and say they're the ones that have made it happen because it's in their term. But really, it was set up by the Republicans and Trump. Now, I'm not deeply political with all the parties. I've said that before. I'm impartial in that sense because half the time you can't trust anyone, you know. One looks like the savior and all of a sudden they do similar shit. It's just all shady. Politics can't be trusted. But yeah, I'm not going to go too deep there. This is just sick in the head. This is twisted as shit. Like I'm not going to be quiet on things. Not when you see injustices. People are going to court to sort out their immigration status. They're literally doing everything the correct way. And think about it. When you go to court, there's admin fees, there's solicitor fees. Everything costs. And yet, it doesn't seem to matter to the Trump administration. It's like everybody's there. It's fair game. And it's all for statistics. To say we've deported this many numbers, this many numbers, this many. These are real lives. These are people who should have every chance to democracy in the same way other people do, you know? I'm sick of the way people are treated as less human than other people just because of where you're born and the privilege extended. And when people can't relate and understand that, it's like you are delusional. You're absolutely and dangerous. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You are not a better class of human being. You was just afforded a better opportunity. And rather than share opportunity and respect and care for other people, you just want to raise yourself up at the expense of others. And that just shows an insecurity. That shows an absolute insecurity. You're terrified of other people. Crazy. So yeah, some people are just absolutely sick, absolutely twisted and sick. So she's come here to do all the right things and she's going to get detained and escorted by these cretins, these absolute arseholes who are marshalling, because I've seen so much of this where they're asked for warrants, they're asked for proof. They never provide anything. Any of these videos, I've seen all of them. They never provide anything. They're literally just illegally capturing people. I can't remember the term some people use because it made sense to me. Trafficking. That's what they're comparing it to, people trafficking. That's exactly what it is. This is not legal. It's just they're hiding behind some sort of foothold at the Homeland Security or whatever they want to put it down. But it's not, I don't think it's actually legal. I don't think it's actually, because they're not even got warrants and shit. So they're avoiding due process, which is exactly what she was doing. They got the audacity to turn up to court buildings and actually just completely detain them and remove them. And it's people like this. You can see, look, she looks innocent enough to me. And now we're going to see in a minute the new detention camp they've put in Florida, which just looks basic as shit. And, you know, it's not clear exactly what happens to the people. And these are the sort of places that she may end up in. Why? Like, if she... I can understand if someone's a criminal, maybe you've got to do something, put them in a prison. If someone's doing innocent things and they're just working within the community or they're educating themselves, how is that a threat to the democracy? How is that a threat to society? I don't get it. Okay, you say someone's illegal, then help them be legal. I don't understand the complication with it. It's just sick. It's just sick. America's becoming a horrible place. Not saying American people, because there's plenty of nice American people, but as a place, it's becoming like a red zone for a lot of people. Like, no one wants to go there. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. There's risks, but even negating the risks, it's just not worth it anymore. It's not worth it, is it? It's going to be too expensive to travel there anyway. And it's like, it's a country divided amongst itself. The human rights is just getting violated left, right, and centre now. Just have a nice, enjoyable holiday in Europe. And yeah, it's a better life. This is just sick.
Why are you detaining her?
This wouldn't be acceptable in Europe. And America's supposed to be like a Western civilization, you know, where maybe you look at things happen in Asia or the you know, other nations, you know the sort of ones I mean. And America's acting in a similar way, but it's just sick. That ICE won't say why she's being detained. Of course not.
What is the reason she is being detained?
No accountability. They do what they want. They get paid for it. There's no accountability at all. Just sick.
Can't just kill it.
Remember that plane of people that
This is what I'm talking about. I'm going to share this, but I'm not saying it's. You can't. How can we say if it's true? I don't know the answer to that. So there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around at the moment. There are a lot of these people who are getting detained in America and then they're getting deported to places like Sudan. Not actually arriving in Sudan. There's a conspiracy theory that they're using cargo planes, like military cargo planes, like American, and they're just literally disposing of people in the sea. That's that's one of the conspiracy theories, because Sudan are saying the flights never arrived. And there's people have been looking at flight tracking data where the plane goes to a certain distance and it just turns around. So I'm not going to lead into the theories myself, because you know it does get dangerous, because you can go down a wormhole in the wrong direction. Can't say for sure.
Sudan against court
but could you put it past Trump and his
only for
administration?
South Sudan to report that those people never arrived.
Recent reports indicate that multiple bodies with their hands and feet shackled have been found floating in the sea off the Bali.
So I'm not going to say whether or not true. I don't know.
So many people are talking shit.
Don't need that one.
A car wash owner who passed.
This was a really nice thing. So you look at the bad things in the world, especially in America at the moment, and then you got this in America. Car wash owner's dying wish was to shower the streets with money. So they got a helicopter. So after he died, he used a helicopter, and they threw out $50,000 for the people.
Away had a dying wish to shower.
And that just shows it's not like a vast amount of money, is it? But it's like you see how excited it helps, and you know it's going to help every single people. You know, people obviously spend money in whatever way they do, but at least it's got a chance to reach some people who could really do with it. You know, because that money could end up anywhere, in trees, and it could be found. It could be like things being found for a long time, and yet you got people with wealth. They wouldn't even give a dollar. You know, they don't care about people, or it's. The world needs to change. It needs to change pretty freaking fast.
The streets with money. Just hours.
The United States government is starting to prepare to take citizenship away from people. This is not an entirely new phenomenon called denaturalization, but we are about to see a ramp up in this process.
His microphone's very quiet.
And it is particularly dangerous because of the approach that they're going to use. The Department of Justice has announced that it intends to ramp up its denaturalization procedures to try to find and take away the citizenship of certain immigrants in the United States of America. This, as we know and we have seen with every other act of the administration, is going to start small and then grow exponentially. Revoking citizenship is a core constitutional concern. In fact, there's a case from 1958, and one of the most famous quotes from that is, "Citizenship is not a license that expires upon misbehavior." But this administration and this Department of Justice are about to ramp up a large-scale attempt to denaturalize people who are not naturally born citizens, and remove.
The part I find curious about that is you've got Elon Musk, South African. But then Trump's been threatening him with getting deported as well because he's not happy with him now. It's ridiculous, because and that's where you see the corruption. He's not getting on well with Elon Musk. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get him removed from the United States. But what does that show you? If you're on Trump's good side, he will protect you and even give you opportunities within his government. If you're on his good side, he will go out of his way to really help you. He even endorsed Tesla, for crying out loud, at the White House. He brought the car in, and it was like a showroom, wasn't it? When he was trying to sell the car, for crying out loud, the president trying to sell the cars for Musk. That's mad. But yeah, when he's not happy with you, he'll have you detained and deported. So where's the fairness in that? Like, what is this? You have to kiss his ass, you'll get gifts. If you have integrity and you speak up on things, you'll become his enemy. And it's like, that's not how democracy works. That's ridiculous. And then if you look at his wife, Melania, I think it is, she's not a natural American either. But from all accounts, because I've seen a lot of talk about this, where She came into America and she misrepresented herself. So she was supposed to get a certain visa. I think she was on a tourist visa but did work. She wasn't supposed to do work on that visa. Then she got a higher class visa for people who are of status. You know, like people of scientific mind or something like that, which she shouldn't have got. And she got that. And then she got the citizenship. But apparently because now she's got this citizenship, it can't be revoked. But then Trump's talking about revoking. Will he revoke his own wife? Her citizenship? Because it's ridiculous. You can't just have one rule for specific people who you feel loyal to, and then a different one for people who you have no affiliation with. That's not fair. It's like, well, it should be one rule for everyone. So it's so corrupt. It's unreal. The fact that he's getting away with this shit, I think is even more absurd. But I actually said that about Trump, is the fact that the only benefit I saw of him coming into office was that he would churn things up and show the corruption that is in American politics. And that's exactly what he's done. So it's now figuring out how you can literally fix the problems and put a permanent solution to it so it can't happen again. Because you can't have like presidents having the power and the authority or overexerting their authority to the point where he has, and then you make it normal. It's like you can't have that. You need to get rid of the loopholes. But it goes far beyond him as well, because you've got others, you know, the politicians and all that shit. It's all freaking made up, isn't it? Like they start picking supreme judges and all this shit based on their interests. It's not a democracy. It's crazy.
Hey, you out here!
This is absolutely outrageous. This baffles my mind as well. Like in America, it's that is it homeowners association? I can't remember how they call it. I think it's homeowners association. And within the confines of that agreement, you have to maintain your property to a certain standard. So you end up with this neighbor wars, really, where people are always competing with each other. But if your home goes into a state of disrepair, even your lawn gets overgrowing or something, all of a sudden you get citations and fines. And you might even get, I don't know if it goes to as far as to get potential evictions, which I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But yeah, you get into a lot of problems if you don't maintain it. But then if you use a third party to do it, even if they do it for free, that person then they either get arrested or get warnings and shit. I've seen so many videos on this, and it's been absolutely mental to me that people in commenting saying, "What? It's illegal in America for people to help each other." Like that is mental. And other people are explaining what the homeowners association thing is. It's investors that buy properties, and then they want to look after their investments, so people have to maintain it to a degree. But it's corrupt, because why are the police enforcing it, for starters? What's that got to do with a civil issue? That's got nothing to do with the police. But then some people are saying that it's because it's to do, I don't know if it's to do with the state or to do with provinces. I don't really know the exact thing. The councils, that they're the ones that have the sort of the deals or something, so that they'll have the contractors. So if you need your lawn done and you can't do it yourself, you need to use their contractors. Let's say it's $300, and let's say you haven't got the $300, but you're not able-bodied. Let's say you're not, you've got a disability or something. Well, now you're caught out, because obviously they want to enforce it where you're going to use their service and pay their money, because America is all about money. And let's say someone decides to do something at the kindness of their heart, they'll help you. That person's now getting in trouble for helping. And that's where all this shit comes. It's such a shit country right now, isn't it? It's hard to find nice things. It's really mad how everything's built on money, and people's lives just don't matter in America right now. It's just, what the fuck?
Now! Not one more word out of you or you'll go!
I didn't break any laws. I just wanted to help someone who couldn't afford help. Today, I went to mow the lawn for an 80-year-old widow. She lives alone, on a fixed income, and her front yard had grown wild after weeks of heat and rain. She told me the city had already warned her. Clean it.
The crazy thing is, like, these cops go on power trips, and they know you can't do anything to them. But it makes your blood boil, doesn't it? It makes your blood boil. Like, on a human level, they're just sick and twisted. But yet they know they're like invincible in those moments. Like, you touch them, you do anything, you're going to go to jail. Yet they can push you and they can do all sorts of shit. They can overexert their authority and get away with it. What the hell is going on?
Clean it up or get fined. Thing is, she can't afford to pay the $300 the city charges to cut it. so I offered to do it for free. I'd barely gotten halfway through when 2 police cruisers pulled up, lights on, doors swinging open. One officer steps out and says, "You need to shut that mower off now." I was confused, thought maybe they were checking in. But then he told me I was trespassing and under investigation for unauthorized property maintenance. I pointed at the lady standing on her porch, waving frantically. "She asked me to help," I said. "She gave me permission." They ignored her. One of them told me the yard fell under a municipal code that made it restricted property because of pending fines. The woman kept pleading, trying to explain, but they wouldn't listen. One officer handcuffed me right there in front of her. Turns out
They talk about impending fines and don't want to get in support. They probably want to repossess the house. It's all money. But why the police interfering is the question.
the local department offers a paid lawn service, and if neighbors or charities step in for free, they interfere with city business. I sat in the back of the cruiser, watching that poor woman cry on her porch. I wasn't charged. They let me go later with a warning. But they told me next time it would be a citation for disruption of municipal process. I'm going back this week to finish the job before they fine her, even if it means getting arrested again. If you want to hear what happens next, just...
You really need to change the slogan with America, because this land of the free is a load of bullshit. What is free in America? Like, honestly, what is free in America? There's a lot of freedoms around the world, especially in Europe. What's free in America? Load of bullshit.
Type stand.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Somebody just called to complain that you were cleaning up the yard, I'm
Yes.
assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Look at this busybody neighbor now. Like, he can't handle it that this person's helping do the yard. What's he got to do then? Americans are so obsessed with each other, like what other people are doing. It's like, rather than focus on their own lives and improve it, they have to try to keep ruining other people's. It's so pathetic. It really is. These neighbor disputes are a joke.
so he came over.
Sad
and approached
acts.
me and- Fine, but the city told me I was okay to come and help them out.
You
with
keep
management.
strutting over.
Today, I grabbed my mower and walked down the street to
I
help
wouldn't
an
have the patience for that. You'd have to just tell them to fuck off. You can't, I
90-year-old
can't
widow
waste
who's
time
been
with
living
people.
alone since her husband passed 15 years ago. Her front yard had gotten out of hand, overgrown grass, weeds climbing the steps. She physically can't push a mower anymore. She told me the city had already sent her a notice. Cut it or pay a $400 fine. She can't afford that on her tiny Social Security check. So rolled up my sleeves and got to work. About 10 minutes in, I heard shouting over the hum of the mower. I looked up and her next door neighbor was storming across the lawn, red-faced, finger jabbing in the air. He screamed, "You have no right! You can't just do work in our..."
You can't just do work in our neighborhood. What a joker.
Hi. We have big news right now. Donald Trump is now calling for deporting American citizens next. This is serious, and he just made this statement. Speaking in Florida, Donald Trump called for the deportation of U.S. citizens, saying, "We have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here, too, if you want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job."
So they were born in America, but they're bad people, so we need to get rid of them now. Wow. You're crazy.
This is Jerry.
You're like Waterworld eventually. They're going to make cities in the sea. I better not say that. He'll probably love that idea.
I am shaking with fury over what just happened. That's the most monstrous piece of legislation I've ever voted on in my time in Congress. What do those Republican senators go back and tell their constituents that they did? In the final speech, the only thing they mentioned was the money for the border. But what more can they do? They've already militarized the border. They've already created an immigration police state. They didn't mention anything about the fact this bill kicks 17 million people off of their health care. There are going to be thousands of people who die in this country because they lose their access to health care. There'll be tens of thousands of other lives that are needlessly destroyed. This is the biggest cut in child nutrition in the history of the country, I think. There are going to be moms and dads who literally watch their children go hungry. And why? Because they wanted to pad the pockets of Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago friends. That's the only reason that they are throwing people off of health care, that they are rendering little children hungry so that some billionaire can get an extra $200,000 tax cut. It's just repulsive what they did. Now, It hasn't passed the House. There is a small but not insignificant chance that we can stop this bill before it gets to the president's desk. So let's get to work. Let's keep fighting. Let's not give up. Even if it does pass the House, then we have to tell the world what they did. We have to make sure that every single senator, every single congressman who voted for this from a swing state or a swing district never sets foot in this building again. This is a moral abomination, what they just did. And for what? For what? Just to make the lives of the rich and famous a little bit easier? So we'll do our work. I'm not giving up. I'm going to do everything I can to stop this bill from passing the House of Representatives. And it has real issues as it heads to the House of Representatives. But if it does become law, we're going to make sure these people pay politically for what they did. I am...
It's nice that there's some that actually speak up, you know. It's just rare. It's very rare.
So we all know that this insane bill that the Republican cowards...
So I found this quite interesting because straight away I'm like, wait a minute, it's the guy from the West Wing. I like him in the West Wing. But it was interesting hearing him.
...are bowing down to the fascist clown in order to, I don't know, desecrate 4th of July for us all this year. We know that it adds $3 trillion to the deficit, according to the CBO. We know it is the largest transfer of wealth from the poorest to the richest in human history. We know that it is going to remove access to life-saving health care for millions of vulnerable.
This is interesting because I literally did a video a few months ago. I can't remember exactly when now, and I was asking the question: if you could change one thing in the world, what do you think it would be to make the world a better place? Because it's an interesting concept, isn't it? It's like, not being funny, the world is very segregated at the moment. There's a huge disparity between various cultures, but between like wealth, poor. It's not helping anything by having this big disparity. That divide creates obviously divide creates division, but then that becomes dangerous because it creates resentment, and then all of a sudden you start having people like attacks on either side and all these things. That's not a blended community, you know. That's not something that's going to be healing for anyone, and it's not something where the world unites. Surely, Earth would be far better if everybody just everybody could just accept each other for who they are. There's a common goal, a common cause towards humanity, where everybody just gets to live in peace. It shouldn't be that hard, but because the world is that hard, it seems impossible and naive to think of it at all. But it's like you can't give up and accept that this world is shit just because these corrupt, morose, freaking leaders and these people of influence have so much control of the world. They shouldn't even have that control. They don't have a divine right to it. You know, it's just the corruption has led them to it. It needs to be eradicated. So my opinion was, if you look at the poorest places on Earth, you probably would say Africa. Now, maybe some of the South Americans, maybe there's somewhere else in Asia, but predominantly it's Africa. You see an awful lot of displacement in Africa where people are trying to get out of there. They're trying to go to all different countries. And that suggests that the epicenter of change should come in Africa, in my opinion, because it fixes the source. So obviously they're trying to get away from something. So what are they trying to get away from? And then how can you help their communities thrive? Because what you're doing is you're lowering where the worst case places are, where there's maybe the poorest. If you could lift the poorest higher, that's now the lowest point, isn't it? It's a standard. So all of a sudden, the disparity isn't huge. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting closer and closer to a world that is fair. But if you look at what's going on in America a minute, they're trying to really, really suppress and eradicate anybody in America who doesn't have wealth. And they only want wealthy individuals. It's just this crazy scenario, which is kind of the complete opposite to what I think the world needs. So it's crazy to me. That's why I'm not impressed with America right now. It's an absolute chaotic mess. It's great that you've got some people speaking up, but I can understand why some people aren't. You know, they're probably terrified of reprisals because this government is unhinged as shit. And maybe you know someone who's an immigrant, not even a legal immigrant. Maybe they're just an immigrant and they've settled there for like 60 years. And you think maybe if I say something, they may get targeted and maybe they get displaced. So there's this whole emotional attack, like consequence that's really been hammered into people. And it's just like, this is not a democracy, though, is it? This is not a thriving world here. We couldn't be so far further from peace. It's crazy to me, like unreal. And yet you get Trump's quick to judge other nations and other leaders, and it's like, even when it comes to their war, and when he's saying I could have ended this quick, and that you can't even end a shit. Like, this guy's an absolute moron, and it's a president. My God, what? No, I'm trying not to swear, man, but what a dickhead.
Americans, but what a lot of people don't know is that in this bill, if it passes, there will be $45 billion for ICE detention. Currently, the annual budget is $3.4 billion. That's over 10 times an increase. There will be $14 billion for transportation and removal on top of the current annual budget of $750 million. So that's about 15 times increase. There will be $8 billion for hiring and retention. All of this.
This is interesting because I saw that. Well, I don't know. Was her name Neome? Is she the one that's the Homeland Security woman? The one that keeps gets herself all made up and stuff and starts looking like freaking Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. It's crazy. I saw her. I don't know if it was in the Senate. I don't know who it was. Was it what's the other one? Oh, I'm getting lost of them now. Anyway, forget. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, she was getting questioned, and they said to her that you've already spent your budget. Like, unless you can convince us and explain why you need the funding, you may not get any more funding. Effectively, so she wouldn't be able to continue her deportations and things like that, because she's already gone way beyond her budget, and they've used some spending on things they shouldn't have done. So it makes sense why Trump's team and that are implementing this thing to almost give her unlimited resources to be able to enact what she's doing, because this is like Trump's passion project, isn't it? What a joke.
This adds up to more than the annual budget of the United States Marine Corps in order to put law-abiding Americans in detention centers. It's obscene.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to be quiet on these issues, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'd rather not have to talk about things all the time, but god damn.
The reason they're calling that camp in Florida Alligator Alcatraz is because if they were being honest, they would have to call it Alligator Auschwitz. The facility that Trump and DeSantis have built for the detention of migrants in Florida is a textbook concentration camp. It's not a prison, it's not a holding facility, it is a concentration camp to the definition of the word. I want you to look at the buildings where they have all the beds. I guarantee you none of those buildings have any sort of AC, which in the Florida heat is going to be deadly. Which means that while that facility is in use, hundreds if not thousands of detainees are going to die of heat stroke, exhaustion, and dehydration. That's not accounting for the fact that ICE is already very famously feeding people held in their detention facilities far less food than they need to survive. Which means you also have to add the hundreds if not thousands of deaths that are going to result from malnutrition. Sorry, malnutrition makes it sound like an accident. Being intentionally starved to death, that's what's going to happen. The reason that Ron and Trump and all the Republicans are trying to turn it into this big meme, this big joke with the name Alligator Alcatraz, is because they know they can't cover it up. Because the Germans in the 1930s and the 1940s had the advantage of there not being satellite cameras or social media at the time, which meant they could downplay the camps. They could keep them, relatively speaking, a secret. Trump and his cronies know they can't do that, so they're trying to downplay it by turning it into a joke so you stop caring. This is not Alcatraz, it is Auschwitz. Same shit, different asshole.
How convenient that a lot of the cuts to this big, disgusting bill won't take place.
This guy's the one that explained that it's coming, that whoever becomes president next is going to have to take over the shit show, because that's when the, if this bill passes at the Senate or whatever it is, it's just, it'll be under the next presidency, and then they can be blamed for it. It's just... So this was interesting. A few days ago, a neighbour told me that his cousin was offered a contracting job to install a ton of incinerators. An incinerator? You know, that's cremating people, right? Into Alligator Alcatraz. We've just seen the beds in this Alcatraz thing. Anyone could end up there, by the way. This isn't just like... I know people just naturally think it's Mexicans and things. And I don't... Again, the racism is crazy to me. This is literally anyone entering America who they decide, we don't want you in America. You might have just come on holiday, for instance. You may have even got approved for a visa. rather than just put you on a plane and let you go home, which is what they should be doing, they may put you in one of these places just to make an example of you, or just to be some morbid desire to cause pain. You know, for whatever reason. This is why it's dangerous for anyone entering America right now. Like, anyone is at risk. Anyone. So anyway, an incinerator, what the hell would you need that for? I made a video establishing it as an alleged rumor after listening to Caroline Levitt, which she's the that speaker, you know, the I don't know what we call her now, the press secretary. Talk about it today. I consider it. I can't consider it alleged anymore. Oh, okay. So not all my reposts are to do with this situation. But it's just horrible, isn't it? Like, America's supposed to be the land of opportunity, the land of free, and it's a place where a lot of people just think, you know what, there's a lot of more freedoms there. There's so much opportunity. You can build an incredible life. That's the image people had of America, and of course, the natural beauty and, you know, the culture and all these things. It's almost like a pumped up on steroids, enhanced version of most other Western countries. So, for instance, it's exactly that. It's an amplified, like, even if you compare it to England, for instance, it's an amplified version of England. You put it over there in terms of, like, the fact that we got some advertising. They get huge billboards. It goes way beyond what we do, advertising and stuff. You know, like, we've got certain size drinks. There's like massive drinks, but then maybe we've got some additives in our food and stuff, not too crazy. And theirs is like contaminated with this shit. And it's like, you've got this democracy and you've got this way with the government and stuff. And in America's, it's like amplified and expands way beyond that. So let's say there's any political bias or any sort of like dodgy shit, because that happens in any political system. Again, amplified as shit in America. You know, it's just, for good and bad, America is amplified more than the rest of the world. It's everything's on steroids. Sometimes it's hard to get in the head of a madman. But the real problem with Trump is, it's not just that he's mad, it's just that he seems to have the IQ of a ferret. You know, it's just crazy to me. I don't like to make derogatory comments, but he's just, you can see by the way he articulates, the way he communicates, he clearly has a stunted development, in my opinion. And then he's putting people in positions of power and prominence who literally have no experience in those roles. It makes no sense at all. You're just giving your buddies, you know. You're very fortunate to have that position, which people only voted because it filled a void that they felt was missing. It's been misrepresented, and now Trump's doing everything on an abuse of power and way beyond what people voted for him to do, and he's using these 4 years just to live out a fantasy. That's what's happening, and there's gonna be betrayals here. You know, the Musk thing was the start of it, which was very high profile. Quite entertaining, really, because I don't know if Musk thinks he's going to be considered a messiah now, as if he comes up against Trump, because no one's going to trust this guy. He's just trying to save face now and restore some of the things he had before. He don't want to lose everything, and it's a vendetta. This is like, people are not your pawns in your game of shit. You know, they're all as corrupt as each other, which is what I said about the politics in general. But yeah, at the moment, like, why would you risk your life to go to America? That's the question. Makes no sense. You'd be an idiot to get on a plane or anything to go there now. Absolute moron. If someone said, I'm going to America on holiday, it's like, good luck with that. You might not come back. That's your risk. You want to risk your life going there. Well, I don't know what's so special, like what you're going to get there that you can't get somewhere else. That's the thing. Madness.